holidays, everyone, and welcome back to the trash can of YouTube. I have been looking for video ideas these past few days and stumbled across a video from one of the channels I'm subscribed to, and after watching it, I couldn't resist making a video on everything wrong with this waste of tree corpses. So to celebrate 50 subscribers to my channel, I will be ripping Michael and Debi Pearl's step-by-step guide to child abuse, Another Asshole. For those of you who haven't seen Rachael Oates' video on this disaster of a book yet, I highly recommend you watch her video before watching mine. It's linked in the description for your viewing pleasure. I have also read through this entire book of bullshit and was also disgusted at the insanity, biblical nonsense, and blatant hypocrisy that is contained within all 21 chapters. I will be covering 7 of them in order over 3 separate videos. Consider this your final warning. If you find themes of parental narcissism, child abuse, child deaths, religious extremism, child exploitation, and graphic stupidity to be bothersome or even offensive to you personally, please click away now. What you are about to hear is explicit. I have taken every chapter, found something wrong with it, and will discuss every problem with it in full, so sit back, relax, and try not to throw up, because this is absolutely disgusting. I will start off with the most obvious problem with this book, that being that these assholes do not see kids as people with legitimate feelings or beings capable of actual thought and empathy. They often compare them to dogs, which this philosophy also falls flat since dogs are also capable of thinking and feeling. They think that kids need to be trained like they're livestock, and then they try to justify beating kids that aren't even capable of walking yet. An actual line from the book says, and I quote, "Training does not necessarily require that the trainee be capable of reason. Even mice and rats can be trained to respond to stimuli. Careful training can make a dog perfectly obedient. Keep this in mind." They also talk about the following: setting up a kid to be hit with a switch by setting an object of interest or favorite toy on a table and hitting the child with it when they go to grab for it as a training exercise. Pulling a newborn's hair because they don't know how mouths work. Hitting a crawling 4-month-old with a 12-inch long, 1/8 inch diameter willow stick for naturally being curious. They actually gave the size of the stick they used in the book too, because of course they did. These head cases try to justify all of this by saying that it worked in the Bible and that's why they think they're right. They also try and say that no child is too young to be beaten with a stick. They call it training in this book, but we're not stupid. We all know exactly what they mean. This is all in the same damn chapter, too. You are probably as disgusted by this as I am, and I can't say that I blame you. This is only chapter 1, and we're not even into the darkest aspects of this book yet. Babies may not remember this crap when they're older, but it's still a proven recipe for many deep-seated issues. The fact that they even start the chapter like this at all is alarming. The insanity continues to unravel in chapter 2. Their sad argument in this chapter is that kids are evil unless you quite literally beat it out of them. They actually say infants start out life in innocent self-centeredness and say a toddler is capable of mimicking a criminal mind. Okay, I'm no expert, but I don't think either one of those things are a product of a healthy mind. Yes, toddlers are assholes, but not the kind of asshole these dickwads think they are. They are another breed entirely. There's a difference between toddlers fighting over a toy and public indecency. Their thinly veiled excuse this time is just some garbled Bible references and droning personal stories nobody cares about. This is a rather boring chapter to read through, the most priceless part about it being the authors trying to tell the reader what the age of accountability for sinning is, and then go with the classic, "I don't know." They then spout more biblical diarrhea to make it look like they know what they're talking about. They compare parents to God, and it totally doesn't show the self-righteous and self-entitled douchebaggery these twits are capable of. Nope, not at all. There isn't much to cover here, so let's move on. This time, they try and justify beating your kid after offense number 1, no matter what it is they do to piss you off. They try and guilt parents by saying they have anger issues, it's their fault their kids are like this, and that calm, calculated, and premeditated abuse, for lack of better terms, is the way to go here. Normal people would say the punishment has to fit the crime, but these people just fetishize brutalizing kids as young as 2 seconds old like it's nothing, and think throwing religion at it will justify it. I know Rachael said the same exact thing in her video, but I completely agree with her here. I can't find a better way to describe this raw sewage without cussing these monstrous creatures out either. People are stupid, but they aren't that stupid. Most of the time. Sure, parents can and are often lacking in setting boundaries and teaching their kids things they need to know, and that's due to ignorance and neglect, as well as lack of consideration for others around them. Beating the crap out of your kid isn't going to get them to listen either. This chapter is every bit brainwashing as it is obvious projection on the part of the Pearls. They claim parents don't like their kids, that it's the parents' fault their kids are unlikable, and act as if the kids totally aren't going through something that might make them depressed, resentful, or any other emotion outside of chirpy and saccharine. To them, mental health issues aren't real and the kid is a spoiled brat. Please fix with preachy book and beat obviously angry teenager with stiff object moving on. Right about here is where the hypocrisy starts to set in. After you've beaten the will to live out of your kid with a stick or a tree branch for every mistake they've ever made, suddenly act like you give a fuck about their interests so they don't hate you as much. They talk about mutual respect and your kids being able to trust you with anything they have questions about. Quick question to everyone watching. Would you trust somebody who beats you when you fuck up, no matter how minor the offense? I'm sure the obvious answer is a collective and overruling no. The best quote here in this chapter is, never ridicule, mock, or laugh at your child's ideas, creations, or ambitions. Yet they call an angry child withdrawing their emotions and interests from their parent for any reason rebellion, and you already know exactly how they handle that. They take offense to teens being teens and think there's nothing they can do about it without getting the kid to trust them again. Once they trust you, you can beat them up again all you want, according to the Pearls. What good is bonding with your kid if you're just gonna fuck the relationship up again, going straight back to square one? If this isn't parental narcissism and idiocy at its finest, I don't know what is. Another thing that makes me taste the bile in my throat is the fact that they even suggest beating your kid to comfort them. The author talks about a woman with a crying kid in his conversation with her. I'll just read the excerpt, it speaks for itself. I observed a child possessed of continual discontent. His mother was vainly trying to elicit obedience to a simple command. He was miserable, constantly complaining, whining, and angry. The mother, made miserable by the little tyrant's rebellious antics, was ill-tempered towards him. But she continued to plead with him as if she were trying to remember what it was she heard about positive affirmation and not stifling his personal expression. As an objective observer, concerned for the child's happiness and well-being, I said to the mother, "Why don't you give him a spanking and make him happy?" The shocked mother replied, "Oh, he will grow out of it. It's just the stage he's going through." What the fuck, right? Since when has a spanking made a child happy? Where? Where is the connection? I seriously doubt anyone has ever enjoyed a spanking or beating at any point in time, and if they do, they're probably a pervert. Apparently not beating your kids for experiencing emotions means you hate them. After that, there's more godly garbly-gook, followed by the idea that putting your kid in timeout for 20 minutes breeds darkness in the soul. Well, so does beating the shit out of them. They then ask, again, if the reader uses the rod to comfort their child, projectile vomit more Bible bile, and end the chapter. As mentioned before, mental scarring and post-traumatic stress are apparently non-existent in the Pearlyverse, so you have to hit them with switches or else you'll damage their spines. This is an actual thing they believe, and an actual thing they wrote in this chapter. I am not kidding. They actually refer to the objects they abuse kids with as an instrument of love, and they consider not hitting your kid immediately to be abuse. They think the parent expressing their anger is abuse. There is a difference between expressing your anger and being abusive. The Pearls are obviously ignorant to that difference. They say rods are the only tools you should use to hit your kids with since you can cause them a lot of pain and not bruise them. Gee, anything to not alert school teachers and other concerned family members to blatant physical abuse, right? The minds and morals of the Pearls are extremely warped and sadistic, and this chapter is just another expression of that. What little substance there is in this stupid book is beyond stuff with Bible verses and references like tissues in a bra. There is nothing really here that can make them look like better people, much less genuine people. We've only got one chapter left to cover in this video. We're almost there. Chapter 7 is super short, only being several paragraphs long. It could probably all fit on one page if the authors didn't think to do that junior high trick and use 12-point text and 14-point punctuation. Hell, it probably still could. It's the most pointless chapter in this book, being filled entirely with biblical white noise and using that as a reason to be the total wipes that they are. I'd expect nothing less from idiots who think child abuse is okay because a book written over 2,000 years ago says it's cool. If you haven't been doubting Mike and Debi's collective intelligence level, now's your chance. They aren't even two halves of a whole idiot. The best part here is that the first segment of this chapter is actually titled The Teaching Rod. When I saw that, I couldn't stop laughing. How on earth is beating your kid with a tree branch for having emotions supposed to teach them anything outside of my parents hate me or other variants? Exactly. This book is disgusting. Remember how I mentioned child deaths in the beginning of the intro? Well, the methods used in this book are responsible for 3 publicized cases, possibly even more not covered by the press. According to the Babel article that Rachael linked in the description of her video, the parents in all 3 cases were convicted of murder. The comments section of her video are also filled with people appalled at the book's contents, as well as victims raised by this book sharing their experiences. Beatings aren't the only method of abuse suggested in this book, as they even suggest starving your child and hosing younger children down with cold water after they've had an accident in later chapters. How these people haven't been tried and convicted like some of those who have read their books is beyond me. Makes me wonder exactly how far freedom of expression can be exploited. It is solid proof that idiots label themselves just so we can intentionally avoid them. That is probably the only purpose they serve outside of teaching others how not to be like them. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you saw and wish to see more like it. If you didn't like this, I can't say that I blame you. Feel free to file a complaint in my Discord server as well as any other social media outlets I have, all of which are linked down below, and I'll see you guys in part 2. Stay safe and take care.